Well, hey everybody, this is Chris DiFiorio with Keys to the Shop. Welcome to another edition of Shift Break. Today's episode, of course, is brought to you by the wonderful people at La Marzocco Espresso Machines, lamarzocco.usa.com. It's the quintessential signal for quality coffee when you see it on the counter, whether that's the traditional classic Linea or the Linea PB with the updated technology of today. You have the KB90 espresso machine that has the straight-in locking portafilters and scales in the drip trays, a very ergonomic machine. You've also got the Leva and other types of configurations and technologies included in different types of machines. They are known for beauty, dependability, and, as you've just heard, innovation. So they have something that's going to fit what you need in your cafe. I would recommend you check them out as well over at lamarzocco.usa.com. You can email their sales folks at info@lamarzocco.usa.com and just invest in something that is dependable to help you succeed in the coffee bar. Today, we're also sponsored by rattleware.com. Rattleware has been around for quite a long time. I have old pictures from that brand. They've been making smallwares in the background of the coffee industry for so long, and that's what they want. They want to be in the background helping you get on the stage, showcase coffee with smallwares that just work. Pitchers, whisks, knock boxes, shot glasses, and things like that. If you go to rattleware.com, you'll see what I mean. But smallwares are a big deal, of course, because if they don't work well, then it's hard to work well in the coffee shop. So if you want smallwares that just work, built by people who want to support coffee people, go to rattleware.com. Now, today's subject is accountability. And the topic itself comes from lots of conversations that I've had with clients, with coaching group members. One of the things we are always talking about is, well, I got to hold my baristas accountable. And the issue is we don't like to do it. We don't like to do it because there's a secret part of us that knows that maybe we didn't set them up for success. So the preamble here is you've got to know that you've already invested the time, energy, resource, communication, and training necessary to expect something of somebody. And it's a reasonable expectation, to quote one of our past shift breaks. You have to have that already set up. Accountability isn't something that you use to make up for something that you lack. You want to take a page from the playbook of Jocko Willink, the extreme ownership. You own the fact that you might not have set somebody up. Now, if you go through the list and you say, well, actually we have, and this has become an issue, but I don't know what to do. Well, then, like another shift break, we talk about backing up our policies. We have to at some point have a conversation where we're holding people accountable. But sometimes we become so emotional with the issue because for us, we forecast disaster. We forecast, well, if they don't work well, then what's going to happen is my business, I'm going to go out of business. There's this one little thing that they're doing and it's bugging me and it's probably bugging the customer. The customer's not going to come back. And you're not wrong per se in thinking that there is a ripple effect of these behaviors that accumulate over time and cause there to be a lack of success in some immeasurable or measurable way. But where we go astray is we don't have a structure or a system to hold people accountable. And mainly also, by the way, holding ourselves accountable for holding people accountable. That's very meta. The point is, though, we need to be able to follow a path in order to treat everyone fairly and also not become overly emotional in the process of bringing things up to people. And by the way, the accountability process I'm going to talk about here is not really meant to substitute for coaching conversations for issues, as one of our key holder coaching group members brought up recently. A couple of mistakes are fine. It's not a trend. It's just a thing. It's a quirk. Let's fix it. Okay, well, how can I help? This member was talking about how you can help by just making it easier for people to know exactly what you want, reasonable expectations, set them up for success, own your part of facilitating that lack of success on their part. But if they insist on doing things wrong after that, and in part of insisting on doing things wrong is not even trying to do things right, then you have to have some kind of a process. One of the things I recommend is having steps, like 3 or 4 steps. in a process that is based on the idea of restoration of the individual. So with accountability, it is about, saying, we're not here to try to punish you. This is not punitive. We're not trying to manage you out necessarily. We're trying to call you up into something higher. So with accountability, it goes both ways. It is for us to practice being coaches and allowing people to rise up to a challenge, but that there is a stage or a step or two, and the challenge is great. We need that. Now, when you do this, the end of the accountability process is potentially termination. And I will stress, you need to document everything. You need to give you need to give documentation, but you need to give fair warning and not just throw people out to fend for themselves, but be a part of the solution with them and give them every chance of success and document along the way. So you can start with a verbal warning that's written somewhere in the recorded. We gave a verbal warning around this behavior. And then you can go to step 2, which might be a written warning. And that might end up having some kind of a probationary status being activated. Step 3 might just be that probationary written warning. And after that, possible termination. And depending on the particular issue that you're dealing with, you might have immediate termination. Stealing from the business, immediate termination. Harassing coworkers and things like that, immediate termination, like sexual harassment and the like, right? So these are things that need to be written out in part of your process. But for a lot of what you're dealing with, I wouldn't say it's benign in the sense that it's not damaging, but it might be lateness is a classic. It might just be hospitality issues, the way we communicate or don't communicate, not following code for dress code, whatever it might be. You have the right as the owner to dictate the behaviors and the way people are in the cafe that represents your brand. And the accountability process that is there to say, hey, remember that you signed on to say, you said yes to all of these things. You said yes to everything that was in the manual. You said, so far as I'm drawing a paycheck at this cafe, I will uphold the standards and procedures and SOPs and policies of this place. And we're not forcing you to stay, right? In fact, we're trying to get you to stay with the idea that we want you to continue to be here, but we can't force you to. And maybe you're not happy here, and we just want to give the benefit of the doubt and have a lot of charitable assumption, even in the face of what seems like a campaign to try to, flout the law or whatever. So the accountability process is definitely something that you need to have in your policies. Everybody needs to know about it. But just like compensation, this is the main point I want to make about accountability is it's not, again, it's restorative. It's about calling people up, not pushing them out. And it's kind of like the compensation issue. You might not be able to pay people in your cafe a lot of money. You might not be able to pay somebody. Now, there might be a living wage calculator for your company or your city, and you just started this coffee shop and you're working a lot of hours, but you can't afford as of yet to reach that average for every employee. And that's normal, and that's okay. That's okay because things they can't actually just start right from the get-go, so that somebody like who just starts working for you, let's say like just graduated high school, they just got a barista job, now they can buy a house because they got trained for 3 weeks at your coffee shop. That's not realistic, of course. But the default to generosity means, let's see how much I can do for you as I am able. I am here to be on your side. I am your advocate. I'm showing you hospitality. Danny Meyer talks about this. Hospitality is something you do for somebody, not to them. So accountability is still a process of doing something for somebody, not necessarily to them. So you're not like laying down the law. You're more guiding people into a state of better working conditions and better pride in work and all of that, all of those things. So that's kind of what's been on my mind recently, and I think that I wanted to mention it just because when we start calling people up to higher levels of professionalism in the cafe, which I think we need to and probably are going to have to do to survive in this economy, where we have leaner teams of highly trained people, highly compensated, invested into professionals. Along with that comes an agreement that is either explicit or implied that you are working to maintain that same level of professionalism and work toward that person's good and continuance with your business, even if it means at the end of that process they have to leave. You're still protecting others from that particular behavior. I hate to even say that person, because that person may, as they might not be a fit for your business at that moment in their life. I've seen many people who change over time. I've seen many people who flourish in other situations. So let's not talk about, well, we need to protect them from this person because this person is whatever. Their behavior. Let's just focus on the behavior. We are going to give opportunity for correction, but then we ultimately have to make decisions that distance the rest of the community or the culture and ultimately the customers from the behavior that can be corrosive. It's a hard line to walk, but making hard decisions and doing so frequently, they become less difficult when you make them more frequently. These things become harder when you haven't done it ever or in a long time. So keep short accounts, make it frequent, guided by certain values and principles, and put it in writing, have policies, follow them through, and it's for your sake and theirs as well. So I wanted to mention that today, and I hope that you have an amazing weekend, and we'll see you here next week on another edition of Shift Break, from keys to the shop.